And CLG are looking to separate themselves from that pack, right? They are now sitting tied for third with FlyQuest, and they would love to move up in the standings, to move up to sole possession of that top 3 spot, especially with how bad their first week looked, where Stixxay even came out in an interview and said, we're clearly the worst team in the league in week 1, and that they feel that they have improved remarkably since then. So we'll see if they can continue that climb. It's been a while since CLG fans really have had something to be super excited about, to really feel like their team can challenge for the top of the table. And a win here today puts CLG in third. At the very least, they're going to remain tied for that, which is an exciting place for that team to be.
Certainly is, given all the rebuilding that team has done, but bans are almost done here in the first phase. Ezreal, Olaf, and Sion there for the Golden Guardians, and Draven, Lucian with 10 seconds for Counter Logic Gaming's last one.
Notably absent is the Urgot and even the Cassio you can look to. So Urgot almost guaranteed to be first pick here now by Golden Guardians. If you give that over, you have to assume that Counter Logic Gaming is ready with an answer. We'll see what that answer may be. Urgot has been extremely successful worldwide in Pro, but it's actually not done as well win rate-wise in the LCS, excuse me, where it has been kind of struggling a bit. So there are a number of answers that can deal with it, but it's so consistent, almost always has a pushing lane, and it's also a flex pick.
Ooh, Aatrox actually going to be Counter Logic Gaming's first pick here, a champion that we thought might drop off the radar, and certainly this weekend has just dropped through drafts.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been banned, it hasn't been picked. I am of the opinion that this champion has really kind of been put in the dumpster with this last patch changes. Not being able to have the double dash actually for comboing your Qs, it was such a huge hit, because now it is a shorter cooldown on your dash, but you do not ever have 2 saved up. So you cannot do the Q knockup into a Q dash and another Q dash to essentially hit confirm your 3 combo there. But we'll see if Darshan can actually really make it work. I think especially the playmaking is affected more heavily. Your laning can still be fairly solid, but he may prove me wrong here and show that Aatrox can still be a threat. Certainly
a matchup we've seen a lot there in the top lane, if that's where they choose to go. Gragas for CLG, a classic, of course, there for Wiggily. And Ashe, seen a lot of her this weekend, is going to be locked in for Deftly.
Again, we talked about it last game, but it is another form of engage coming out of the bot lane. These teams want multiple forms of engage, and also one of the most underrated parts about the kit really is the vision that Hawkshot gives you. When you watch some of the best Ashe players, they're constantly finding the jungler with their Hawkshot, being able to track that, which is giving freedom to the rest of the map to play more aggressively, and also giving their jungler agency to counter jungle, to be in the right spot to counter gank, and really to have all of those advantages.
Well, again, with all the changes on 9-3 as far as itemization goes, we've seen a lot more crit 80 carries. Sivir is going to be locked in here for Stixxay, certainly a good scaling pick. Kind of fits into the wheelhouse that CLG have been running.
100% expecting Golden Guardians to ban Tahm Kench. I think that is almost a must ban when you're playing Thresh Ashe in the bot lane. I really do not think you want to give over that pick. Alistar going to be taken away, but if they leave it up, I would be really, really surprised. Yes, Sivir does have a spell shield, but having the Tahm Kench on top of that is going to make it extremely difficult to actually attack this champion. Not just the Sivir as well. Also, it is going to be about those mid-game team fights when Ashe is trying to look for picks with that engage.
Karthus ban though, yep. Kind of expected against Froggen. I wonder if he'll eat another target ban here, but we'll have to find out. Zac ban instead.
Zac makes a lot of sense. You know, it is a tank jungler that is very strong in the meta, something that can actually have another long form range of engage. The Anivia also, I would be interested if that they're trying to kind of bait that out, because I have seen Kassadins do very, very well, actually, into Anivia. We saw PowerOfEvil doing exceptionally well on the Kassadin yesterday. He does have last pick here again today. The Force Pulse, the Kassadin Q, actually interrupts the channel of the Anivia ultimate, making it very difficult to actually have that out for any consistent amount of time. So, could be something that they're looking for, but Froggen doesn't have to go there. He does have some more unique picks in the bag.
This, though, was left open, as you said, maybe a mistake here.
Surprising.
I mean, LeBlanc was banned, but it fits perfectly against the dual lane the Golden Guardians have drafted. It's Biofrost most played champion this split. Like, it's a champion that CLG have just rested a lot of their early success on, and it is surprising to see them give it away.
That being said, what they do with this, you know, by taking away the Alistar, is they are limiting the engage, obviously, on the side of Counter Logic Gaming. Yes, there is Sivir ultimate to speed you up. There is the Gragas engage, but Aatrox engage is not really much of anything, right? This is kind of getting them into one of these situations where we've seen teams flounder, where even if with an advantage, they don't necessarily know how to close it out if they can't turn and force fights. So that even may force PowerOfEvil's hand to try to pick something that does have some additional engage, such as the Lissandra, or something along those lines.
Well, we'll see what Golden Guardians do lock in. They have Lee Sin here for Contractz, and they will finish with Orianna. So a very safe blind pick champion here for Froggen. Kind of just saying, hey, PowerOfEvil, let's farm it out. PowerOfEvil's like, I don't think so.
But I want that Zed. Maybe we saw it in Europe. It was popping off. I hope we're going to get it. I think Biofrost is probably just playing with my emotions.
That sounds like Biofrost. As we move things around.
You could go for a 1-3-1 style comp if you did want to go for it. Ahri can do similar things. Syndra, much more of a standard pick. I do think that their composition is somewhat low on engage. It is really just all about the Gragas. If you can deny that, it is going to be tough for them to get in. But with the Sivir ultimate, the Gragas flying in, they are going to have some ability there. Tahm Kench also going to give them more of an opportunity to actually answer in some of these side lanes if we do see Hauntzer trying to play in those side lanes to that style of the map. On the other side for Golden Guardians, they have multiple forms of engage. They have very clear team fight power. You have the Orianna. Contractz can fly in on the Lee Sin, Shockwave plus the Orianna combo, Hauntzer to cut through someone with that ultimate, and I think that they have a very well-rounded team composition.
Yep, for all the unique stuff we've seen so far this weekend, this is a very safe and stable draft for both sides. But again, a pretty crucial game as Golden Guardians are continuing to try and find wins after the early setback here. And CLG would love to try and claim that third. Coaches will shake hands. We'll see what happens. I'm a little upset that PowerOfEvil and Froggen are playing very standard champions, but they have been playing for a long time, so this is a matchup they'll know very well.
Certainly the case, as Orianna, they were doing it during Jat Stats, who had the most plays. There's a lot of mid laners who Orianna is their most played. Certainly, I believe that is PowerOfEvil's most played. I would be willing to venture.
Pretty sure it's Jensen's off the top of my head.
It is definitely Jensen's.
Not Bjergsen's, but it's close. It's up there. Again, just a really solid champion. I think it makes sense why Froggen pick something safe. I think the idea of CLG baiting them into something like the Anivia was certainly present in this draft, but almost just by picking red side, it feels like CLG shut down a lot of those potential tricks that Froggen could potentially bring out. So instead, we'll have a very clean game, at least in Champions. Like, I cannot speak for what will happen once the champions are out under the rift and trying to kill each other, because at least in the Gragas, that'll happen.
Yeah, you never know how it's actually going to shake out, but definitely both teams getting their advantages in pick ban. My biggest worry for CLG really is A, how is the Aatrox going to perform after the patch? And B, do they have enough consistent engage to actually be able to force fights and close out if they do get an advantage? And for the side of Golden Guardians, I think most people, if they lose this game, are going to be really wondering about the lack of a Tahm Kench ban, because that just seems like such an easy way to shut down both the Ashe. That's kind of sick. I mean, he's taking the soul of the frog. The catfish just has to watch in horror as his brethren is being tortured time and time again.
Olleh with the mind games early on. Biofrost just sits in the brush. And
this is what I'm about to do to you.
Can catch bigger fish than this.
What about this bigger brother there? That's sick.
Well, Biofrost's going to ward out, get the real bad news as he confirms that Olleh has been, in fact, conjuring frog demons in the river. But other than that, a very safe and stable level 1. So teams will just spread out as Hauntzer's dancing in the pixel brush. Wiggily, though, is going to start on the red side, and looks like the same as for Contractz, so we'll see where those junglers end up after their early pathing.
Yeah, both guys not going to be getting the leash. These top side start here for Wiggily. A lot of options for him as far as where he wants to go. We'll see how much focus he's actually going to put on trying to get Darshan ahead, who has gone for a fairly heavy lane style lane setup. Anytime I look at Comet as the choice for an Aatrox, I really do think that's almost exclusively about lane. Yes, it is adding some power later on, but this is very similar to kind of the style we used to see where Camille would go into range matchups, do a leg sweep max and try to poke them down. We'll see how effective it can be, though, as it's much more difficult to actually consistently land the sweet spots without the double dash.
Yeah, you can see Olleh, though, already took a lot of pain from Boomerang Blade, plus a few tongue lashes there, so thankfully Ashe's range is letting them zone out Stixxay and Bio, so Golden Guardians have initiative in the lane for now, but looks like Olleh had to go through all his potions, so see if maybe Wiggily or someone else wants to visit. As mid lane also pushing, PoE will quickly dispatch of those minions, as it looks like Contractz wants the crab on the right-hand side, so Wiggily will just move down to trade.
And one of the reasons you may be wondering, well, why is the Urgot getting pushed in here? And this is almost guaranteed to be a conscious choice for Hauntzer. He knows his jungler started on the bottom side of the map, so he does not want to be out by the turret, or that would have been a level 2 gank from Wiggily probably killing him, right? So as a result, he's going to try to play it safer. He's going to try to only last hit and not actually push out, allow the minion wave to come to him, and this is just a small thing that he is doing that is keeping him safe from what could have otherwise been a very easy game.
Also interesting to see that junglers have decided to move into the enemy blue side, so we'll split the map for now as Darshan going to get a bit more aggressive perhaps here as the 2v2 is covered on the other side for CLG.
Oh God.
It's a good lock on though, and Darshan eats the wrong end of that trade.
Yeah, that hurts. Darshan used his dash actually to be able to hit the first Q, but then you're not going to have it to actually reposition the second or the third Q, so Hauntzer takes his time and decides to go in on that opportunity.
See bot lane continuing to shove here though, Deftly just trying to play up and aggressive as best he can. Minion lead isn't too much, it's almost away for Deftly, but that should be equalized as Stixxay and Bio eventually get this farm.
Yeah, there's about 4 extra CS for him to pick up there, so shouldn't be too big of a deal. And generally speaking, I think this lane evens out more once items and levels come through for the Sivir, and you can really start to get to that stage where you can instantly be clearing out waves. In the early stages, your QW is not nearly enough to actually just fully knock down that wave, so Ashe has more of an ability to kind of hold the wave, harass you with that W, with the volley, and try to use her additional range to really punish.
Yep, certainly haven't seen too much aggression from the CLG bot lane. They've been more of the kind of late game insurance in a lot of ways. Lots of Tahm Kench for Biofrost, lots of Ezreal, and now Sivir here for Stixxay, who has been a player, even Jinx yesterday for him. Certainly leaning on more of his kind of initial strength he showed when he entered the league. He's just so good in the late game team fights and leaving a lot of the early game up to Darshan in this case and someone like PowerOfEvil as well.
Yeah, and PowerOfEvil has also been a guy who has been so strong for the team. Really was very good on Optic. A lot of people credit him with most of their wins last year, and with him joining CLG, people were very excited, right? This could be the resurgence of CLG. Week 1 dashed a lot of those hopes, but these last couple weeks, they certainly have been looking better and better and have found their formula. But we have to see, can this team win without a pure tank frontline 5v5 style? Because that is where all of their victories have come. They have 3 Sion wins and 1 Urgot win where Darshan is essentially just playing that pure frontline. He is trying to just soak up the damage, and it's been less about him succeeding individually. When that was taken away from him, we saw him try to go to Orin. That didn't work. Now we're seeing him here on Aatrox, and this would be a different look for what their setup is. Sivir may struggle to get enough damage out of team fights if you don't have that protection in that front line.
Certainly the quiet game feels fine for both teams at the moment. Contractz though is trying to solo down this Infernal, is going to get caught here by PowerOfEvil and Biofrost, so that will force him away, and here's Wiggily finding a catch, looking for Froggen, who is forced to flash. Q going to follow up, slow is there from the Syndra, might be a first blood on the table. Golden Guardians do get the Drake, but can they get first blood? They do claim Froggen as PowerOfEvil is able to grab that kill, and now the chase is on. Double barrel slow there as Olleh flays them back out of it, but the stun is good at landing onto Ashe, and that's definitely forced away from the fight, but CLG cannot claim any more kills.
They do get the 1 kill there. They get first blood for themselves, so certainly more power right now from what they got, but pretty clever actually for Golden Guardians to go back in, bring Contractz back into this fight, because this looked like everything was going to be forfeit. Instead, before it resets, he actually just blast cones back in, and while they're killing Froggen, they say, great, we'll actually take that trade. So they do knock down the Infernal. They use the Lantern to get him to safety. It does cost them Summoners. It does cost them 1 kill. But really, all things considered, when your jungler gets down on a dragon at about 10-15% health, that could have gone a lot worse for them. So some quick thinking for Golden Guardians to get the most out of a bad situation. And really, as you get further into the game, that's going to be worth a lot more than the first blood was.
Certainly is, but a lot of summoners burnt in mid lane, so curious to see if the junglers do want to visit there. We did see Wiggily and Contractz meet on that left side, but it is Contractz that will claim the next Scuttle Crowd as Darshan is going to be forced away after Hauntzer bought and TP'd back into the lane, so Darshan will use his summoner now.
Yep, does get forced to TP back, and Hauntzer's going to use that time, now that he has priority, to actually come over and try to invade on this red. You can see Wiggily very aware that this is a possibility, as he was pulling that all the way back to the Raptor pit, then warding the bush before he actually starts that up. Doesn't want to risk giving it away, and doesn't want to risk giving over any easy kills, but it's a worthy try there for Hauntzer, right? It's these little things that don't always pay dividends, but are consistent plays that cost very little to do, right? He has the wave at the turret. Well, you can try to sit there and maybe harass Darshan a little bit, or you can try to walk over to red buff and, hey, maybe you catch the jungler sleeping, maybe you get a kill, maybe you steal red buff.
Yep, get the information, if nothing else, which is always nice to have. As Deftly has hit level 6, Olleh still behind at 4, but do look for a potential arrow either cross-map or just here down to the bot side if Contractz wants to visit with his ulti as well. With the Predator also up now for Wiggily and his ultimate available despite missing his flash after the last little encounter. I am expecting him to look to pressure one of these lanes. I think Froggen is kind of the first name on the hit list here.
Yeah, no summoners on Froggen. PowerOfEvil got the first blood, so he's going to be at a pretty strong point in the game right now. So it seems like a great point of attack. I do want to point out, I do really like the buy, though, from Froggen. When you are behind, just grabbing a Null Magic Mantle, that's 25 MR for 450 gold versus 18 Spell Pen on the Source Juice for PowerOfEvil that he spent 1,100. Yes, he is getting move speed, and that is valuable as well, but just spending that 450 gold is essentially eliminating and more all of the offensive power that PowerOfEvil got from that first buy.
I have to agree. It looks like
Brain
is starting to push things in here in the bot side. By the looks of things, it will be Essence Reaver first, which we have seen, I believe, a few times already this weekend. Seems to be the current go-to Sivir build.
Yeah. People seem to be either in two schools of thought. I mean, we saw Apollo last game going just IE double Zeal, right? That is higher DPS, but having the Essence Reaver for the cooldown, getting more uses of the ultimate, more rounds of the spells, and also all the mana regen that you actually get every time you're autoing, essentially allows you to have infinite wave clear very, very easily. You can park yourself mid lane, sit there while people are playing side lanes, and you'll never run out of mana for the spells. You'll never actually be
nice ult. It's the gank we expected, but Contractz here to cover. Stun's going to hit the cleanse back up. Froggen gets out, but Contractz, maybe not so lucky, kicks him back into the turret, but Biofrost is here to save the day, and somehow everybody lives.
That was so close to multiple members going on. Contractz right place, right time to actually protect his mid laner, and then Darshan here looking for the fight against Hauntzer.
Bubble Ignite. Hauntzer going to have to line up the ulti.
Saved it.
Darshan behind the minions. Hauntzer uses it. Darshan forced a flash.
Yeah, really well done from Hauntzer there, waiting, knowing that there's not enough charges in the Blood Well there to actually bring Darshan back above that safety zone. So Darshan forced a flash, and now with junglers showing up topside, this could be a plate going the way of Hauntzer, but Wiggily is coming in quick.
Here we also towards this side of the map, so I think Golden Guardians will respect the power of Syndra and move out of the way.
Still did barely get that one plate. The range minion actually did get it for him, and you could see the gold fly out. The range is actually very surprising on the turret plates. You can be almost all the way back in those bushes and still do get credit for that. So Hauntzer are going to be feeling pretty good about his situation. And if you are losing that lane phase straight up to the Aatrox, or sorry, for the Aatrox at this point in the game, I think it's going to be difficult for Darshan to perform in team fights where that is where the nerfs, I think, are most heavy. For Aatrox.
Yep, he's going to have to go back. I don't think he's ready to complete his first item, but I'll wait to be surprised. Hauntzer actually stayed to push in yet another wave, so continuing to grow a pretty significant CS lead, up about 20 at this stage as Stixxay pops that spell shield, but the hook does not land from Olleh. He's going to be Blade of the Ruined King first here for Deftly, which is what we've seen for practically every Ashe.
Yeah, there's been a lot of different schools of thought, and I like to see the differences, right? Because there are multiple choices that do make sense, right? Essence Reaver first on Syndra can make sense, IE can make sense. Same thing with Ashe, you can go Blade of the Ruined King or just straight up Russian IE. It's different forms of power, and both really do offer something pretty unique.
No hook there from Olleh. And the game is going to continue at this very quiet pace. This is kind of what I expect from most of my CLG games. They've been a very deliberate team. Golden Guardians have found more success in the early game, but I think at least maybe against this particular opponent, don't feel too much pressure to do a lot right now. Maybe play a bit more reactively or set something up here as Froggen with the blue buff is feeling a little stronger now that his summoners are back and available.
Yeah, having that flashback certainly going to make him a lot more confident against any impending Wiggily ganks. And he is up in farm. His laning phase is something that has never really been questioned. He's always been so consistent there. The criticism for Froggen is usually about the fact that sometimes he's too focused on his laning phase, too focused on his individual farm, and not necessarily contributing enough elsewhere on the map. And that is one of the reasons that a lot of people look to Karthus and said, hey, this is actually a perfect pick for Froggen, because you can sit in your alarm, you can power farm, you can scale, and you can still have effect on side lane with that ultimate. So we'll see when and if he actually wants to move out of this mid lane on the Orianna.
Oh,
it's going to be.
Contractz nails Darshan with that Q. But the chain's going to pull him back as Darshan will miss the first knockup, does grab the second. But Darshan with no health and no ulti can't really stay here.
Yeah, and they could actually make this a move over onto the red buff. Hauntzer is looking for Darshan, but Darshan not taking a lazy recall. That is smart to not get caught in that jungle. So Hauntzer will be forced to just head back up the top. Not going to get anything for the roam just yet. Still, Darshan not having a fun time with it.
Not at all, but at least PowerOfEvil's roam did stop the Rift Herald briefly. Now Contractz with a control ward in the pit is back down towards the objective. Froggen also pushing in mid lane. There is a Cloud Drake up, so maybe it's just time to try and start a trade, but Wigglily's on the wrong side of the map for that play.
Yeah, he's on the wrong side of the map, and both his solos are pushed in.
Oh, good devour there from Biofrost. Olleh still going to ride in, pops the box, and PowerOfEvil will live.
Kench paying dividends there, saving PowerOfEvil from what would have been a guaranteed death, but Golden Guardians, they had both solo lanes pushing in, so they do get an easy Rift Herald here. Nicely done by them, and now they're on to Darshan, has no ultimate.
Yeah, no flash either. Hauntzer just needs to line up the ulti, and there it is. Put him in the blender as Hauntzer takes down Darshan.
Very concerning now for CLG. Well done by Hauntzer, but this is Darshan down 30 CS, gets solo killed now. Really going to be having a tough time against this Urgot, who's just going to be getting insanely tanked.
As of right now, actually a CS lead in all the lanes for Golden Guardians. Hauntzer up is a very significant amount, approaching 40, about 20 for Deftly, and a couple there for Froggen in mid lane as the Rift Herald is channeled. Shelly going to charge in the mid-outer, give some plate money over, and not quite enough to take down the turret, but still nice to get the plates before the plating falls.
Exactly, and that's why Contractz rushed that drop. You may think, well, why didn't they set it up better? Why didn't they actually try to get a full turret? Turret plating was about to expire, so they get a couple plates with that more gold in their pockets, and Golden Guardians certainly do much better in that regard. They knocked a couple off top side, and now got a couple mid. Here it is one more time. Darshan. That's the E flash from Hauntzer, so there's no real buffer time. He just appears on your model, flips you back. Darshan didn't have his dash up, didn't have his flash up, didn't have his ult, because Contractz made a play over by that Rift Herald, and they're going to get an easy kill.
Yep, also played down to the bot side as Contractz takes the Cloud Drake away as well. So Golden Guardians win both objectives in the mid game here, and you can see the plate difference 6-2. Always nice. Contractz with that very slick Rift Herald drop to give them that extra boost in gold.
Yeah, really, really well done there from him. And we'll see if they can crack that mid lane turret later on, as that's going to give them a lot more access to the rest of the jungle and to those neutral objectives. But meanwhile, in the bot lane, Stixxay is still quite far behind. But now on the Essence Reaver, he should be able to clear out these waves very, very effectively. Should not really be falling further behind than he already is.
And I think, as Deftly and Olleh, you want to move your champions around, threaten the dive maybe in the mid lane, get stuff done. The Golden Guardians can't convert with their duo lane leaving their lane, no. Stixxay will just freely hit turrets and creeps until he's caught all the way back up. So there is always that feeling with Sivir. We talk about like the 400 CS meme, like you don't want to leave Sivir alone for too long, and I think CLG always happy to have a champion like that in their wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to give you some incredible late game scaling. The question to me, though, really is, does he have the team around him to actually effectively deal damage?
I mean, right now, team not really needed because Darshan's getting dove once more. He pops well down over. Hauntzer is going to run in. I think the ulti got used, so he might be latched on. The flip's going to miss just barely, but Hauntzer wants it. He dives in under the turret. He's trying to shoot them all. The lock-on doesn't hit, but he finally hits it with the shotgun knees. There's the kill. Wiggily also taking a little too much damage. Contractz back in. Golden Guardians making the big plays all day. Double kill for Hauntzer.
So well done there by the Golden Guardians, attacking the weak member. Darshan already behind, and they are just punishing him, getting 2 kills for 0, and going to be able to get a lot of turret damage down and probably even force Darshan maybe the TP here, which is just getting bad to worse.
We'll have to see. Hauntzer gets about 50% of the turret HP down, but will now recall and get the rest of his health and spend that gold. Mid lane, Froggen just pushing PowerOfEvil in. Again, it's been a nice gentlemanly agreement here in the mid lane to just do nothing but really farm, especially because PowerOfEvil had his stopwatch up for a little while. But watch this again. I mean, Darshan, you said it. He's getting picked on.
Yeah, he really, really is. Going to go straight in. The ultimate was actually dodged out there by the dash from Darshan, so well done there. But they have enough damage here, they feel, to dive. Then Hauntzer going in. What you actually want to do in this scenario, you can actually cancel your W so you can use your regular auto to target the correct person. Didn't actually do that very quickly, but still, they do pick up the first kill. Then the stopwatch buying time for Wiggily but the turret juggling as well as the summoner heal from Hauntzer gives them enough health to be able to pick up 2 kills really well played from that Golden Guardians duo.
Well, you can see, we're checking with the bot lane, we mentioned it already. Players Tahm Kench has looked good. Nice little win right there. 11 wins to 4 losses. But with topside going as badly as it is for CLG, you are going to have to see Stixxay and Biofrost do a lot of heavy lifting here in the mid game.
I mean, Darshan's not even on a completed item yet. Yes, he is going in a couple different directions, but Hauntzer has 2 already done, and he's going to be feeling so ready to team fight. And I think bringing him into these fights is going to be incredibly difficult for any of the CLG members to really be threatening him and knocking him down at this stage in the game.
Golden Guardians leads continuing to get stronger, and that's with only 1 turret taken, almost 4,000 gold ahead. As Hauntzer is arrested firm control of this game. Biofrost though hitting mid just to cover for a little while longer. That does mean Stixxay is actually zoned off here as Contractz is in the blue side of the jungle trying to fight for this Gromp. There's a lantern out. Contractz zips away, steals the camp easy as you please.
And this is smart now from Golden Guardians. Darshan is already down enough. You don't need to continually kind of beat him while he's down there. You're not actually getting that much as far as the time invested on that side of the map for Contractz. So you can see Hauntzer push in, roam mid, try to threaten there. Contractz goes down to bot side to try to pressure Stixxay. So they're trying to now spread their lead elsewhere on the map, which is really what you want to do. You don't want to give the rest of the CLG members a lot of time to actually just kind of build up and erase some of that lead.
Another Drake coming up in 45 as well, so Golden Guardians making sure to be on the objective side of the map. Biofrost trying to clear out vision, but it's very tricky to roam in Fog of War with both Thresh and Lee Sin roaming around your jungle, so CLG will have to stick together and maybe try and force a fight here. It's tough to give up much more from this point, even though CLG are comfortable scaling and playing longer games as we've seen. Certainly falling further behind is something no team wants to be under.
Yeah, they definitely don't, but I don't think that the Cloud Dragon is where they'll decide to make their stand. Sivir is not even on 2 items just yet. You have a top laner who's massively behind. I think this is a very dangerous time to take a fight, especially against some of the champions that I think are online more quickly on the side of the Golden Guardians, as they are fishing for PowerOfEvil.
All the CC, just throw it out there.
Yeah, pushing them off, right? Just shoves them off the turret, even just the threat of it, and they knock down the mid lane turret. So really well done here from Golden Guardians. And now it's down to the Dragon, over to the blue buff, and they're going to try to rotate this pressure around, take away as much as they possibly can, and eventually threaten for that bot lane turret here too.
And Contractz did use his smite, so it looks like maybe they'll just delay the take of that Drake for a short while and try and push the bot outer instead. Deftly and Olleh happy to cruise down these minions. And looks like Golden Guardians are opting for a reset. But again, very solid, really methodical play here from the Golden Guardians, who have shown they're capable of getting leads, albeit small ones, against very strong teams yesterday against Team Liquid. This is a significantly stronger lead versus very different opposition. So
yeah. And that's what's concerning for CLG, because they've been in scenarios like this before, but they had a very different comp to deal with it, right? They were in a situation against FlyQuest where they were down almost 7,000 gold, but they had Sion and they had this big front line, and they had their team fighting comp around that, with the Ezreal, Tahm Kench, and all these different pieces that were going to make it so that they should be able to win those late game 5v5s. So I think they're in a much tougher situation this time around. But they still do have that Sivir, who is some late game insurance. And if Stixxay can stay safe and consistently be getting that damage out, despite being short range, they could still take it.
No, Battle Crab is won by Iron Chef Biofrost. So CLG do get that vision there on the left-hand side and are trying to pressure this mid outer. It's all 5 actually here trying to knock this down. It does seem like Golden Guardians are slow enough to respond that they will have to give up this turret.
Yep, nicely done there from CLG. Battling back, taking something, but it is Golden Guardians pushing on the bottom side of the map. Should be the last turret going their way of the outers. As Hauntzer just getting further and further ahead, getting towards that stone plate where he's going to be absurdly tanky.
And I think Hauntzer does deserve a lot of credit here. Golden Guardians in general are a team with a lot of players where people are like, are they good enough still? That's a big question you've asked of these players, that in some people's eyes, these players are a little washed up. I think for Hauntzer, his strongest look was always on TSM, playing those strong meta tanks or semi-tanks. Think of Gnar. Think of team fights as a TP in from Hauntzer. He's going to try and tip the balance once more. Stun lands. Biofrost devour. Flash hook is going to miss from Olleh. A good attempt from Golden Guardians, but it does fall short.
Yep, power of the Tahm Kench. Biofrost, right place, right time. You'll notice he was sitting on cleanse, so even if he got tagged by the arrow, he was still safe. So his positioning has been so good on the champion. It's one of the big reasons he has such a high win rate on it. He's always knowing where to be, and that is TP invested, the Ashe ult invested, Flash invested from Olleh, all to try to make that happen, and it fizzles out very, very easily. But to your point, yes, certainly the critics of Golden Guardians are looking to some of these guys and saying, yeah, well, Olleh won championships, but maybe he wasn't the best player in his team, or Hauntzer, he was getting carried by Bjergsen, or whatever. Those are certainly some of the criticisms that people are throwing their way, but these guys are looking to prove them wrong, right? Froggen talked about just wanting to play, just wanting to prove that he is still at this level, and I think all of these guys feel similarly. They're trying to show the league and the fans that no, they did deserve those championships. They are that caliber, and they can have the success with or without some of those other stars on the team.
Yep, and I think for Hauntzer, this is the kind of game that moves it back in the other direction for you. I mean, his bounty is massive. It's a testament to how far ahead in this game he is. In general, Hauntzer was so good at taking over games, even on something like a tank. I think of his Maokai as a very famous pick when he was on TSM.
3SM.
And he is so strong in this game that Golden Guardians, given this point, I think if they just play around their strong members and threaten this Baron, so that is kind of the mid-game test for them at this point, CLG are going to have a lot of trouble trying to play catch-up here.
Yeah, definitely the case. And I mean, Hauntzer has had some good individual performances, certainly. I think more of the criticisms about Golden Guardians has been questions about their team play, right? Even if you think back to week 1, Hauntzer and the Vladimir getting big individual leads, but they were trying to do this 1-3-1 style where Hauntzer is split pushing, and the rest of the team was not really on the same page.
Wiggily, Sivir ult there. Shockwave is going to follow in from Froggen. Contractz going to dive back through, and they just take down Bio. Wiggily dead as well after the front lance from Deftly's arrow, and Darshan could not cancel, forced to flash into the Raptor pit instead.
Yeah, and CLG may have just gifted Golden Guardians the opportunity to start up the Baron here, as there's no jungler. Biofrost just got absolutely destroyed by Contractz there, going down without even being able to use the Grey Health. And I don't know that CLG can afford to just give up the Baron, but what chance do they really have of stealing it?
I mean, they lost both their smites with the jungler and the spellbook going down. Darshan going to be forced to burn the ulti, as well as Froggen and Olleh going to chase him down. DPS remains on the objective, though, for the Golden Guardians. PowerOfEvil and Stixxay will have to combine some bursts to try and steal it. But I just don't think they have it here. Contractz has his smite. He's been in this situation a lot. Should be an easy one, and Contractz cleanly takes away the objective.
Yeah, Golden Guardians turning around the play off of a great shockwave from Froggen, and a really nice job by Contractz, and they get the Baron off of what was a CLG engage. It was them choosing the fight, feeling that they'd finally found an opportunity to go on the aggressive. And Golden Guardians more than up to the challenge there. Now with a massive gold lead and the Baron buff this early on, you can look for that to explode. They should be able to clean out the rest of these outers.
I mean, you hinted at the engage being somewhat one-dimensional. This is basically it for CLG. Yeah. It's cards on the table.
Yep, I mean, they pop the Sivir ult, they run straight in, but you're engaging on the support. Froggen's in a great spot over the wall, hits the shockwave, and Contractz just bursting them out. Definitely able to respond with his ultimate either, and Tahm Kench goes down without even being able to get the Grey Health off there. Those two kills, as you said, were both the smites with that spellbook and their jungler going down. There was no way they were going to be able to really stop Golden Guardians. So now it's up to a flank, but I don't think this is a very scary flank coming in from Darshan. We'll see what he can actually get done, but he is very far behind. He's 3 levels down on Hauntzer, who is roaming to move over towards the team. Yep,
he's going to crash a wave into the turret first. Baron still for 2 minutes. Contractz finds Darshan. Happy to take him 1v1. They're the same level, by the way.
Yeah.
Hauntzer level 16 in the bot side of the map.
And that's an exhausted Knight Urgot, which nobody's going to want to fight at this point of the game. They push up the mid. They actually use that pressure after they had tracked Darshan to just simply be able to take down that outer. Mid lane outer getting low here. You can see the wave is stacking up on the top side also to push that in. Golden Guardians really looking to cash out on this Baron. And then even if they get pushed back, there's an easy dragon for them to grab.
You can see that PowerOfEvil has actually gone death cap second, so I think feels the necessity of having to do a lot of lifting here in the mid game, but I don't think even this big Syndra can make something happen.
Contractz
looking for the flank. Arrow's good. They get the Devour, but they will just take the turret. Golden Guardians playing very calm. Nice spell shield there from Stixxay. Prevents himself from getting hooked, but with still a minute 20 left on the Baron and a Drake up for the taking, Golden Guardians continue to have free reign of the map.
Yeah, despite the fact that Biofrost always seems to be in the right place at the right time to actually deny a lot of these engages, they are enough to make CLG back up, which is just forfeiting those turrets, getting more gold in the pocket of Golden Guardians, and they're just getting further and further ahead. You can see that Deftly's heading up to the top side now to try to join up with this wave that had been stacking for them. But he is alone. He's got to be a bit careful.
Spots Wiggily as Sivir ulti to retreat as they expect that the rest of Golden Guardians are indeed coming to the top lane.
And take a moment to really appreciate all the vision that Golden Guardians has. If you look at the mini-map, that is just a ridiculous amount of wards. CLG can see very little at all on the map, right? They have no idea. And that is why Stixxay looks a little bit silly running away, but he can't see anything. He doesn't know where the members are. CLG is going to have a very tough time actually fighting for even their own jungle camps, which is expanding this gold lead that much faster. And it's one of the things that a lot of North American teams had been getting criticized for, not being able to close out games through vision.
Yeah, Froggen though, looks for the shockwave, finds it, gets both actually, but the Devour from Bio prevents Stixxay from taking up the damage still. Redemption here for a bit of a reset. Golden Guardians just trying to take the final tier 2 turret. As the Baron wears off, they will do so. And that gold lead has ballooned to 8,000.
Yep, really well done. Successful Baron power play there, almost 4K plus. Throughout that, taking away jungle camps, establishing vision, getting all the last of the outers there. And they're going to be at a really strong point in the game now. You can see 4 completed items, GA done for Hauntzer. Darshan's still sitting on 2. Yes, they are cheaper items, certainly on Hauntzer's side, but these guys really are monstrously strong and now can just retreat back to that dragon, take that, and likely see them set up either for some more picks or just wait for the next Baron.
Oh, looks like Drake is going to be the first order of operations. Darshan that already popped his ulti, got exhausted. Hauntzer still with that ignite as well, but isn't going to use the harpoon just yet. Darshan still running, will get out.
Yeah, he's happy to take that trade, right? That's a Spellbook Summoner and his Righteous Glory for the ultimate. Darshan can't even enter fights without the ult, so now you know you have a good chunk of time here where it's over a minute, 77 seconds on that cooldown, where Darshan can't even approach a fight.
And he talked about, Hauntzer's items are a little cheaper. Darshan still struggling to put together items. To give you a number, Hauntzer's 4,000 gold ahead of Darshan in the 1v1 as far as gold goes, so the items might be cheaper, but that lead is still extremely significant.
Yeah, it's massive, and we're kind of getting a little bit of a demonstration, not to take anything away from Hauntzer, who played incredibly well, of why Aatrox fell off the map as far as pick ban, right? We didn't see a getting picked or banned at all, really, yesterday. And it is getting certainly very heavily bullied, almost down 100 CS, down multiple kills, and looking pretty inert in these fights.
Have to agree, unfortunately. But for Golden Guardians, good news for them as they look to close out this game with their very substantial lead. Just a few more turrets to knock down. Feels like they're about 1 Baron away from finishing off this game, so look for that Baron up in 40 seconds.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the plan, right? They're just waiting here. The Baron respawn timer going to be up in about 30 seconds. They want to get full vision control around here, clear out the rest of these wards. These are really the last of the wards that are anywhere near the Baron for CLG. And now it gets so scary to actually check into this because you know that Golden Guardians could be in that bush. They could be 4-stacked in a bush for all you know. And if you walk into that, the Baron is guaranteed for your opponents and you probably lose the game. So CLG is going to be forced to try to group up and maybe take a losing fight.
Darshan uses that dash. Hauntzer going to chase him down again. Might be forcing out the ulti. CLG, do they find this moment to try and fight? No, that's going to get a blend in for the Aatrox, but it will resurrect from World Ender still. A little too far forward. Arrow's going to hit Biofrost as Contractz does get the kill.
That was actually so clean. You see the kick came out from Contractz on the Tahm Kench to deny the Devour, creating the space between Darshan and Biofrost there. So really smart stuff from Contractz, knowing that Biofrost was trying to get into position to save him. And this is going to be a Baron that CLG feels they need to contest, but they do not have the tools to do it.
Oh, good Devour again from Biofrost. That's Wiggily going to stay about half health. Contractz though tags him. Golden Guardians know they can fight if they need to. Hook is going to hit Stixxay, but it lands onto a spell shield as Hauntzer and Contractz in trying to find around. Looks for the Q on Stixxay, but does not land it.
Very well disengaged by CLG. They actually force Golden Guardians off the Baron because Golden Guardians tried to turn without Ashe ultimate up, without a lot of their actual cooldowns available to engage. So they kind of half-assed the engage a little bit. And
Contractz, good stopwatch. There's the Lantern out as well. He's going to get out of the way. So that's Darshan, CLG forcing very heavily, but Hauntzer with a big flank. All around the other side, he TP'd as well. Now PowerOfEvil's getting jumped on. Hook there, he's going to land, but Stixxay again with the spell shield as Hauntzer's ult isn't quite enough to tag Darshan. Still they'll fight. They'll take down Stixxay, who was caught in the backside of the fight. And Golden Guardians back to Baron if they please.
Yeah, Darshan TP's in, but his ult wasn't up, so he just immediately has to retreat. And Hauntzer missed both his Q and his ult. I think if either of those hit, he does actually get the kill on Darshan. Either way, CLG sent packing, and it is Golden Guardians starting up the Baron once more. No vision in the area for CLG. Wiggily not even moving to contest this. They know it is going to be Golden Guardians Baron, and this should be the one that allows them to close out the game.
Yep, you can see defensive line there. Olleh and Froggen making sure nobody gets in. Olleh over to the Baron just at the last minute to get a bit of extra distance over the wall. Golden Guardians up 10,000 gold with picks like these.
Yeah, here it is one more time. You know, you see the TPs were coming in. It was actually a base from Hauntzer. He decides to TP in on the flank. A well-timed stopwatch there from Contractz buys him a lot of time, and then in comes Darshan, but he immediately is going to have to retreat. Remember, this is a no ultimate Aatrox, who is very far behind, and you see him getting incredibly low. That was in anticipation, I think, of a flash or a dash, and then the Q missing there also perhaps could have cleaned him up, but it doesn't matter because Stixxay is knocked down. He's only the consistent DPS really for the team, and CLG doesn't have a lot going for them. They need some sort of a pick to stall out this game. If they can continue to buy time, if you could stop this Baron, I mean, Stixxay is on 3 items. You get him to 4 items, you get him to 5 items. Hey, maybe you have a fighting chance. But they're going to need to make something pretty special happen, I think, to stop this push.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like much needed here for Golden Guardians. Just polish off these inhibitor turrets, get some super minions charging towards, and finish the game nice and slowly.
I mean, you're hoping for an amazing stun from PowerOfEvil or a great engage from Wiggily. That is pretty much all that CLG can look for here. You certainly have no chance in a straight-up 5v5 fight if you just walk at them.
And I think Golden Guardians have also done a good job, you know, reacting well to plays and being proactive when appropriate. This is a team that, you know, maybe were a bit slower to grow their leads and close out games when they were ahead, but I think in this instance it's been very clinical and very clean so far.
Yeah, both their Barons have been well executed. They took it without any chance of a 50-50. They're cleaning all the towers off the map. They're playing around objectives and vision quite well. They're kind of checking all those boxes, and they are now having this wave crash. Hauntzer's moving up to try to get some damage down on the mid lane turret, and you know, 1 or 2 more waves, these turrets can very easily go down. It's probably going to be the next wave that they do get cracked.
Yeah, I mean, I see Darshan trying to defend, but I feel like Hauntzer is just pressing W and walking towards him. He'll either hit the turret or Darshan. He's pretty happy with whatever the lock-on decides to go for, and you can see Stixxay forced between the 2 waves trying to keep them back. He's actually moving back around to try and defend this turret, but still plenty of Baron time left here for Golden Guardians, and Froggen with the shockwave threat as well means that CLG really don't have a lot left.
Yeah, Hauntzer can just right-click that turret now, should be able to knock it right down. Inhibitor's open, 5-man mid for Golden Guardians as they will look to crack their first inhibitor.
Yep, they take it down. Super minions will start streaming in, and hey, got enough time to try and take this last turret as well. Wave is still there. Contractz actually has been accompanying it in with his Baron buff. And CLG going to have to pick a point to make their last stand. This isn't a bad one. We'll see if they do want to fight right now, or if they're looking to maybe wait for something like the 3rd inhib or even the Nexus turret defense.
It's so tough though, right? As long as they can actually see Wiggily, how is he going to get in? You know, and actually get onto Deftly, who's standing behind 4 members of the team. He's standing way back because they know what CLG's win condition is here, and it has to be a miraculous engage. That's really the only way. So Golden Guardians is going to play it safe, going to play it slow, get 2 inhibitors, go to the Dragon, clean that up, get that Elder spawning, so they have yet another win condition for themselves. And really, you can now go 4 top after this reset, with Hauntzer just corralling in the minions. Super is in bot and mid, and look to get that 3rd inhib and close out the game.
Yep, 5-man recall, just enough Baron left to get the quick trip back to base. And CLG will do what they can to grab vision, grab camps, just whatever is left on the map before Golden Guardians decide to storm the rest of the map.
Ghost Blade pickup for Hauntzer as well. It's going to be one faster. Got triple Cloud, plus he has the Righteous Glory and the Ghost Blade, so he's going to actually be insanely fast on the engage, which could get some people off guard.
I mean, we saw he had to TP all the way in to find his way into the backline. Maybe now this is the way he gets in without having to use that Summoner spell. Also Cleanse Ignite, because Spellbook will be is in fighting spirit for whatever happens next. And for CLG, again, that lack of vision, and now those super minions just problems compiling on top of each other.
Yep, and Darshan down in that bottom lane, trying to get that wave pushed out as much as he possibly can, but he knows now he has to retreat. He's not sure where everyone is. Hauntzer's going to be shoving in the top, so they're going 1 top, 4 mid. Going to use Hauntzer and his tankiness to try to chip away at that turret, perhaps. But as you corral these mini waves in and you start getting supers in mid and bot, threatening those Nexus turrets, that is when CLG has to go back and actually commit multiple members, perhaps to wave clear that out, and that's where it's really easy to then step up and get chip damage on the turret.
Yeah, it might look boring at times, but Golden Guardians have no need to do anything risky at this point. CLG are the ones that have to fight all these different waves, have to be worried about all the different CC. if anyone missteps, Golden Guardians will punish very quickly.
And this is why you need to draft multiple forms of engage or just play it really cleanly. And CLG is going in now.
Yeah, Darshan is trying for a flank, but Olleh is going to play him back. The box is up. A good bit of zone there as Contractz just going to force the resurrect. Hauntzer speeding into battle. There's the arrow, but a good devour once again from Bio. Kick in. They are going to get Wiggily, and there he's put into the grinder and taken down by Hauntzer. 4v5 for CLG, trying to save their Nexus.
I don't think there's any way you can defend against this. The supers are here, 5 members are up, and they are 10K ahead.
Golden Guardians dominating from start to finish, it felt like CLG with their final moments in this game as they look to defend their Nexus. Golden Guardians will continue to play nice and straightforward. And CLG couldn't quite find the late game this time around and may not have had it even if they did. Hauntzer flashes forward, looks at PoE. Now Stixxay forced into the fountain as they take down Darshan. And as domination from start to finish as Golden Guardians finish their weekend, diving the fountain with a victory over CLG.
Golden Guardians making it look easy here today against CLG, team that was tied for 3rd place entering the day. And Golden Guardians continue their resurgence. That is 3-1 in their last 4. Their only loss in that stretch was to Team Liquid. Clearly the best team in the league, and it remains to be seen where is that ceiling for Golden Guardians, because they are showing that they can take down a lot of these teams. They're challenging stronger and stronger teams and really coming out on top. And for CLG, you're left with questions here. You're left wondering once again, can they win without Darshan on a tank? Can they actually do more than just this one late game team fighting style with lots of frontline, because they did not drop multiple forms of engage. They did not draft a big team fighting team to actually protect the Sivir and frontline for her. And when you lose the early game like that, there's not a lot of ways to come back.
And that's the thing, you want to say yes, because every team wants to be able to show a variety of styles. But it just hasn't been the story yet for CLG. Like, the way they've won has been very consistent, albeit maybe a bit narrow, but it has been good. For Golden Guardians, though, we'll have a look for more on how they came out on top as we send it down to Olleh, who's standing by with Contractz.
Thanks, guys. Contractz, congratulations on the win. It looked like you and Hauntzer kind of had top lane locked down. What can you tell me about the synergy that you've built up together?
I mean, Kevin's just a monster. You see that? Holy, up 40 CS, 1,000 gold bounty. I mean, this is linking them for sure.
So now we're almost halfway through the spring split. So in your opinion, how far do you think Golden Guardians has come since week 1?
Really far. I mean, if you saw the first 2 weeks, you'd know, right? But yeah, we improved our team synergy and our team coordination a lot. We're definitely making team plays now, and you know, we can only get better from here. So.
That being said, you picked up the win today. You had the 2-0 weekend last week, and then even yesterday's loss against Team Liquid didn't look like that bad of a game. So what's the future look like for Golden Guardians?
I mean, playoffs is always the dream, you know? Winning finals, we get to, but you know, that's a really big goal. But I mean, we're all rooting for it, and we all think that it can happen.
Well, Contractz, thank you, and I wish you the best of luck with that. That's it for us here. Back to you guys at the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Olleh, and I have taken over. I couldn't wait to spend more time with Kobe and Mark.
It's slowly going to be about this. Yeah. Shift in more and more.
Yeah. Next game I'm switching with High, and next game I'm switching with Kobe, and I'm just going to grab you all in. And
we can sit between them.
Yeah, it's true.
Them, like, you know,
yeah, just
on the shoulder.
But they already built the nameplates out, so either way, we are, of course, into this one. Mark, you really want to talk about the draft. One thing I want to point out before you get into it, CLG chose to be red side for this game. What did you want to talk about here?
Well, so a lot of teams are choosing red side, it seems like. With the nerfs to the OPs, they think maybe counterpick's more valuable. I don't have a ton of problem with that. It's just that we've talked about how Darshan, what else does he have in his pool? He has the Urgot and the Scion. But in this instance, you're most concerned about him, and they spend more bans in the bot side, especially I'm looking at potentially the Draven as is that a necessity, as well as the Cassio. Do you really want to leave up Urgot as the only power pick left in this meta that you're leaving up for what is potentially your weakest point on the map to play into, and then you take a nerfed champion Aatrox into it, which I don't think stacks up that well, where it used to be a 50-50 matchup. So I have a big problem with what their game plan was heading into here, and I think Golden Guardians absolutely exploited it.
And what's crazy is this took one ban, and first picking a champion that everyone first picks already, and they suddenly went topside. They didn't even grab jungler till second phase. Yeah. Like, this was ludicrous how much difference. Contractz talked about it in the interview. Lane Kingdom for Hauntzer. Zion, or sorry, when he's not Scion Spartan, it looks like Darshan's a liability.
Right. And I think something cool to watch in that game actually was the fact that the jungle was switched sides. So even though CLG picked a losing top lane from, they tried to help him out at the very least, you know? They had the Gragas going up top and like trying to help him out. But you watch that lane and Hauntzer's actually demolishing him in like a 1v1, just like beating him up, doing great trades and like getting these solo kills. It's just like, what's happening up there?
So what I thought was gonna happen when they split the map is that they're also gonna have their jungle pressure on the top side. But if you just split the map and leave them isolated in a bad matchup, then the isolated bad matchup takes over. Hauntzer here, you can see, definitely had a very fun time on the top side with the Urgot, who escaped the nerfs for this patch, but has some coming soon.
Yeah, and they completely ran over the game. They forced his ult out multiple times, forcing his summoners out, and then Contractz starts coming up here and has some pretty slick plays. Nice attempt by Wiggily to try and bait him in, but there's just too much of an advantage built up there. And as far as I'm concerned, that was the game. Like, you had a relatively even mid lane matchup. We were all talking about
Lane Kingdom.
Yeah, who's going to scale better? We all thought it was like relatively close, aside for the fact that you don't have a front line, the enemy does.
Yeah, and just they got run over. Even though we got to 4-item Sivir, that's oftentimes considered a win condition. 100% crit, 300 AD, ready to go. Couldn't touch anything. Like, I didn't see shields break from Stixxay in there in that one. There was just no front line to hold up to. They got to run through everything. Big stuff. In the mid game, it blew up as well. Golden Guardians got a 2-0 that set up their first Baron. That's when pretty much all hell broke loose, and Sivir ult to get him in faster.
Yeah, this one, CLG, they've got a plan, right? They Sivir ult, they speed in there, but they go right into Olleh, who lands the hook on Gragas on the way in. So they're going after Olleh. He walks out with only 50% health, and it's already some very quick kills for GGS. Then Olleh, once again, hiding in the brush here. Nobody gives him away. So Darshan walks right over. Olleh reels him in. They get the Aatrox ult down. That guy is a useless champion with no ult and 20% HP remaining. So then Golden Guardians are able to burn down this Baron. They get the early Baron and are able to push with it very effectively.
It speaks to High's point, though, about like marking everyone, and they had a pink ward in the pit. They don't see Thresh, so they need to be a little bit more conscious of that kind of stuff. So Golden Guardians, super, super good job just like almost picking apart Golden Guardians, or CLG, excuse me. It wasn't a blowout. It was like 1-5 at that point in the game, I think, but just
But everything was bleeding out.
Right, they found the weak point and they just kept hitting it.
It's interesting that they went for that pick too without the only champion that does damage on their team. The Syndra was nowhere to be found there. You have a Sivir, a Gragas, and a Tahm Kench. Who are you gonna burst? Like, how do you kill that guy?
They were hoping Thresh was the answer to that question, but Olleh lands the CC right on the way in.
Yeah, and honestly, one other thing I noticed was a lethality build coming out of Darshan as well. Like, I understand going Kindle Gem with a Warhammer, you've got Transcendence, you finish Cleavers, now you're max CDR, you're equal on 3 seconds, I get that. But he then bought the Serrated Dirk and just like went ham on the damage output, and it's like, you just got a frontline. Like, you're playing with a 4-item Sivir, like, I don't understand why you're not just trying to fit Aatrox into the tank role, or play a different tank, honestly, and
right.
I mean,
build according to the situation.
Pick the Malphite that we just saw solo play, right? Like, I think CLG could have been able to plug and play more things into here, right? When they've got physical damage top lane in the Lee Sin, physical damage, or jungle and top lane, like, Darshan should be tank only this split, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, at the point where you're in that game and you've got your cleaver and you're like, well, I am Aatrox now, and
down
you're already
40
behind,
CS on my turret.
Then it is kind of splitting hairs, because you're like, well, does Aatrox without damage
do anything?
Really do anything?
Yeah. Probably not.
I personally know when it's my time to buy a Knight's Vow.
And when you want to gain LP.
Somebody carry me, please. I'm feeding. I've been in that situation before, but I do see the other side of like, what does Aatrox do if you don't have damage? Right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you do from that point. When you pick Aatrox, who is one of these champions who should be going even or ahead, and you fall behind, like, there's not really a build that's going to salvage that situation.
Yeah, some champions do not do well from behind. Aatrox is definitely one of them. I want to point out, by the way, this nice Golden Guardians logo behind us. Hi, you called it. You called it last time as well.
He's been calling a couple things.
His phone's been off the hook right now.
I get to use my brain sometimes. I think this is one of those times.
I'm very happy I'm aligned with you the rest of the day.
I'm gonna say the rest of the games, hopefully they go well for us too, and then that means I get 5-0 twice in a row. That'd be pretty sweet.
Look at these season totals. 25-12 to under 500.
I was actually nuts.
He's smurfing the LCS analyst desk.
I need to see these stats from StatBot. I need to see their record, because that's who I'm trying to beat right now.
I heard is in single
I'm told I'm being destroyed by them, so I'm trying to see what they're doing.
So StatBot's like 28-9 or something.
Yeah,
you have to catch up pretty more.
I think.
Oh, 26-11. He's actually
I need a goal, Mark, whatever.
Oh, they got
I need something to beat.
Yeah, so High caught up too. You're only one behind StatBot.
That's the real story. Get my predictions out of there. Who cares? StatBot in my place. It's way more interesting.
Kobe, where are you at?
He doesn't even want to be seen.
It's not my
keep it
choice.
hidden.
Right?
Someone else is doing it.
It's not
We'll
my
pull it up
choice,
for next
but
segment.
Someone's leaving me
it's
out.
not much better than Mark. I have done a lot of similar predictions. to
Okay.
Mark.
Yeah.
We'll pull it up for next segment. Kobe's probably negative. I have no idea what I might. Either way, that's it for game 2. After the break, TSM tries to take down Team Liquid. The odds